In this video, we will be talking about how arrow functions are different from normal functions. What is the syntax for arrow functions? Also, we will be talk about the variation of syntax in arrow function and how this keyword works in arrow function. So let's start. What is arrow function? Arrow function is a simple, concise and shorter syntax for a function, for a normal function. It's a syntactic sugar, or maybe you can say that it's a way of writing a function which is shorter and concise. This is introduced in ES6. So it was not earlier in JavaScript. It was introduced as ECMAScript 6, which is a version of JavaScript. And there is no binding of this keyword within arrow function, which actually solves a lot of issues you often had with this keyword in JavaScript. If you have worked with JavaScript a bit, you probably know that this keyword doesn't always refer to what you might have expected to refer to during you write your code. So when you use this inside an arrow function, it will always keep its context, not change it surprisingly on runtime. So what happens is in classic function, it is bound to have a different value based on the context which is in which function is called, and the context is the object that calls the function, while in arrow function it uses the value of this in their lexical scope, and lexical scope is the visibility of variable in that particular scope, or visibility of variable in that function. So that means the normal function cares about how it is called, where it is called, the function how it is called, while arrow function cares about how it is defined. It is working on the function definition. So now let's come to the syntax part of normal function and arrow function. So in a normal function, we have a function keyword with the name, the function name, and within the parenthesis we have a list of argument. This could be 1, 2 or any number of argument. It could be 0 also, and within this curly braces we write the function body, where we write the steps to execute something, maybe to return something, maybe to to calculate something, or anything, whatever you want to. But in the arrow function, we start with a let or constant keyword. We always can use the constant keyword if we want to we are sure that we will not going to change this value and we want this value to be a constant. Then there is a function name. Function name is something like for example, if I write a function like sum, so this is the function name, so that comes here. And then an equal to sign. Within the parenthesis, there is a parameter list that could be 0 parameter, 1, 2 or 3, any number of parameter. Then there is an arrow which is represented as an arrow function, and then within the curly braces we have the same function body, in which you can write steps to execute something, to calculate something, or maybe returning a value, or anything you want to do for that particular function. Let's see this syntax in PlayCode.io or JavaScript editor, code editor. So here I am writing a normal function. Function name is print name, and then I'm giving a parameter, that is name, and there is I'm just printing this name to the screen. So I'm console log name, and here I'm just calling this simple function print name, and with the parameter like Amitabh. Alright, so you will see this Amitabh is getting print over here in the screen. Now let's try to convert this very same function into arrow function. So I am going to comment this function, and I am trying to rewrite the same function using arrow function syntax. So for arrow function syntax, I told you we have to start with a constant or let keyword, then the function name, that's a print name, is equal to, in parentheses there should be a parameter list. We have one parameter here, and then arrow sign, and then within the curly braces we will be write the body of function, which is console log name. So this is the arrow function. Now when we are trying to call this arrow function with the name maybe Abhishek, you'll get Abhishek on the console screen. So this is the syntax for arrow function. We will start with a constant or let keyword, then a function name, and then the equal to sign, then within parentheses there is the parameter list, arrow that shows the arrow function, and within the curly braces there should be function body. But there are some variation for arrow function syntax. Like for example, the normal arrow function syntax is this, but if there is only one parameter, if only one parameter is there, then we can omit this parenthesis also. Like in this function we have only one parameter, that is name, and here we can omit this parenthesis also, and we can get our output without any problem, without any issue. So this is even more shorter than the previous one, but you have to take care for this. Like this syntax will work only for one parameter or one argument. If there are zero argument, like there are no argument, then I can not keep it empty. I have to give the parentheses if there are no argument. For example, if there is no argument and I am writing here hi, my name is Nidhi, and there is no argument here, so look, I'm getting this statement written over the console. But if I omit or I remove this parenthesis, this will give me an error. So we can omit this parenthesis which contains the parameter if only we have only one parameter. This will not work if the parameter number of parameter is 0, if we do not have any parameter, or if the number of parameter is more than 1. Like for example, if I have 2 parameter, I need to give this in parentheses, and if I just print this Abhishek and maybe 40, so can you see if I omit this parenthesis in parameter list, so it is giving me an error, like some unexpected token. So I need to give parameters within the parenthesis. So if and only if the number of parameter is 1, then we can omit this parenthesis. Otherwise we have to give the parameter within this parenthesis. So this is one point. Another point is this: if function is returning some expression, then we can omit the return statement. For example, let's suppose I'm writing a function which returns sum of two number. So I will be writing let sum is equal to, I have a parameter like num1 and num2, two number, and then arrow sign, and within the curly braces I am saying like let result is equal to num1 plus num2 and return result. So if I am doing that and I'm just consoling this thing, I'm sorry, it's a typo mistake, sorry about that. if I am just consoling this result, and which is the sum and 4 and 6, so I am getting here 10, right? But I have to, because I have this extra statement, like I have this return statement and one other extra statement, so I need to give this in curly braces. But what if I have only the return statement? If I do not have this statement and I am just returning num1 plus num2 here, so it will give me the same output, but in the arrow function I can give it a little more shorter syntax. Like if the function is only returning some value, then I can omit this curly braces and I can bring it into a one line code and omit this return keyword also, because this arrow function doesn't require explicitly return keyword if it is only returning something, if there are no other statement except the return statement. So here the return keyword is implicit and it knows like this is returning something, returning this expression, and you see I'm getting the same result like 4 into 6, and if I change like 6 and 6, then 6 and 6 is 12, I'm getting the same result. So we can write the whole function within the same line if we are just returning something within a function. So this is the let keyword, this is the name of the function, then parameter list, and this is returning the sum of two number. So there are two things which you have to keep in mind. The one is, if the function is only returning something, there is no other statement, the function is something which is returning something, so we can write this function in one single line by using this arrow function like this. We can omit that return keyword as well and curly braces as well, like here in this line. And about the parameters, if the function has only one parameter, we can omit this parenthesis. Otherwise, if the function has 0 or more than one parameter, we need to give this parenthesis over here. This is applicable only for one parameter. If we have only one parameter to a function, then we can omit this parenthesis. So these are the things which we have to keep in mind to when we are working with arrow functions, and this is how the arrow function works.